Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to today's show. It's QuickBooks Lab, our online discussion about the world of accounting and especially QuickBooks Online. Today, we've got a jam-packed episode for you. We've got some great things to go through. But before we go through that, let's talk about people around the room. So we have Johann joining us. Johann, do you want to tell everyone who you are, where you are, and how they can find you?
Hello, Johann from the On Point Accounting Group, QuickBooks Strategic Partner and co-host for Ask the Accountant. You can find me there every Monday morning, 8:30 a.m. or streaming into your ears from the podcast app on a Wednesday. And then the rest of the time, I'm normally hanging around on LinkedIn.
Mr. LinkedIn, as we like to call it. Ash, do you want to explain to everyone where they can find you, who you are, and what you can bring to the table?
Thanks, Aaron. Yes, Ash Beatson here, co-founder of NetTracker, also a QuickBooks trainer, do a little bit of bookkeeping, a bit of accounting stuff as well, and help you out, Aaron, now and again if I can get the chance.
Wonderful, wonderful. And we should have Charlie here at some point. I think he's just finishing off in a meeting, so I'm sure he'll be joining us at some point. My name is Aaron Patrick. I am a chartered accountant, owner of an accounting firm called Bofix, QuickBooks trainer with a fancy new logo and that QuickBooks chap on YouTube with some fancy new merch maybe coming your way soon. So if you want to eat, sleep, and QuickBooks, then we could be the place to do it. So today, in fact, let me just quickly get over all the social rubbish and all that sort of stuff. First of all, we are live to the world at our regular time of 4:30 UK time. That's 10:30 US Central Time, possibly. If you're listening to us back later, then why not think about joining us live? That way you can get involved with the show and ask us anything using the chat box. So we got people in the chat box like Paul saying afternoon, Paul. Hope you're having a good day. So if you've got any questions, then be there, put some of those questions in there and keep us honest and ask some burning questions. Furthermore, we are also live on the podcast services around the world, so feel free to subscribe to your podcast of choice. Our agenda for today is as follows. Well, we've got some QuickBooks price increases to talk about. We all love a good price increase, so we'll have a little talk about that one. We're going to be talking about the landlord solution, if it's there or if it's not. We'll talk about that when we get to it. And we've got some new features in QuickBooks itself, including updated spreadsheet sync. And finally, Johann will be happy because you get multi-company reporting in QuickBooks. Yay. Over the pond, we've got some opportunities to see some updates on how we can connect your sales channels, including eBay, Amazon, Shopify, and some extra as well. And at the very end, we have probably one of the most exciting parts of QuickBooks Labs on an annual basis, our tradition now of making sure that we all understand what features have been released in the year, and we will rank them accordingly. So look forward to that at the end. All right, let's start off with the price increase then. So have you guys heard of the price increase? Have you seen it? Have you had the emails come through? Yep, we're all agreed. Awesome. All right, let me put it up on screen and we can have a little talk about it. So from the 12th of December 2022, the standard price of QuickBooks products will increase for businesses who purchase directly from QuickBooks website. And then we'll have whole new wholesale billing for us accountants as well, which will take an effect from the 1st of February 2023. I've got rid of the wholesale pricing just in case mine's a little bit different to everyone else's. So I just thought I'd best be a bit more what you call it on that one. I'll show my NDA on that particular point. But you can see the standard price increase, and then you should be able to figure out going forward what that means. Curiously, they didn't increase the advance one, but I suppose it's so new that there was no need to increase the advance one, I suppose. So we've got QBSE going from £8 to £10. We've got Simple Start going from £12 to £14. Essentials 22 to 24, and Plus 32 to 34. So with my simple bit of maths, that's £2 per month each and every increase that's there. I mean, my personal opinion on the matter is we probably were expecting a price increase, like Netflix goes up every year or everything else goes up every year. Cost of living and everything else is going to be a factor of it. So we're kind of expecting it. I don't think it's outrageous, £2 per month. We're happy to be shot down. And if we think back to what Deck's kind of recent pricing's been announced as, or potentially been announced as, I think that's still quite competitive, isn't it? For an MTD, it's a solution, which is pretty much what they're aiming for now, and they're going to be putting their things in. So, Ash, what do you think to this? Were you expecting it? What do you think? Do you think that's fair? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I think I'm not surprised, Aaron. And I was mentioning to someone not so long ago, I can't remember who it was, but in the UK, we get very, very good pricing compared to our friends over in the US. So yeah, it is what I expect. I'm not surprised, and it's only going to go up. That's what I can say. First, that's what I think anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I always expect a price increase in December and January from QuickBooks. They do it pretty much every year. I think the only year they've not done it is COVID. Was it 2021 or 2020? They held off. But let's face it, they add new features to that list of features every year. I have no issue with it. I think QuickBooks is predictable. We know December, January, we're going to see a price increase every year. What's interesting is when you see other softwares put their prices up, like Xero, and everyone's surprised and shocked and wasn't expecting it. And that's not because they're becoming, Xero tend to do it a bit more ad hocly. There's no real pattern to it. And instead of just going up by, in this case, £2, Xero will go, oh, we're going to put £1 here, and then we're going to go up for another 50p. It's like, just rip the plaster off and get on with it. So yeah, it's nothing I wasn't expecting, and it's what we build in an anticipation of that increase every year into our pricing anyway.
Yeah, I think when you think about what features we are aware of, and we can't talk about all of them on here, but when we think about what features we're aware of to come next year, and we know they're coming as part and parcel of the software, then you're going to get that value of that price increase anyway, aren't you? So, it's unfortunate. Yes, there's always negativity around price increase at every point, but at the end of the day, I think it's, everything's going to have a price increase, and we've just got to accept it. And the fact that each one of them have been kept in line with one another just shows that they're kind of all there to stay as well. The only other thing that I would kind of recommend people think about, though, is how they actually bill their QuickBooks licenses. If you are an accountant out there listening, I think this is kind of we say it every year, you've just got to find ways to dynamically be able to increase that. Using QuickBooks, for example, if you are using QuickBooks to invoice your own clients, then just having the ability to export all of your prices and put the £2 on, import them back in, could be a quick and easy way for you to actually implement that increase. So yeah, have a think about the way you are invoicing, and hopefully, fingers crossed, because we don't know anything about this. This isn't us breaking any NDAs or anything. This whole subscription thing that kept popping up in QuickBooks and disappearing again, that no one seems to know anything about. Let's hope, fingers crossed, this is the sort of thing that's going to help us be able to deal with this sort of thing going forward. Because if they are developing a subscription style solution, and this is the sort of thing it should be looking at, isn't it? It increases, adding services, taking services away, them sort of things. So let's hope that's what this new QuickBooks subscription service is all about. So yeah, any more to add on that one, people?
No, I mean, yeah, it's good, but I think just going back to the subscriptions and how people pay for it, and I think that's why a lot of accountants in the US, and I don't think we've got this available over here yet, are using the sort of the commission based, where they're referring it, so that an accountant doesn't have the burden of paying for the subscription, especially when it goes up. Their clients are paying for it. The accountant isn't worried.
Yeah, it's annoying because we have the screen for it. It just doesn't do anything. So, maybe that's something that'll get announced at QuickBooks Connect, which has actually been announced for the 7th. We should actually remind people that one. So keep an eye out for save the dates and everything. But the QuickBooks Connect has now been announced for the 7th in the UK, and QuickBooks Connect US is happening as we speak. But yeah, we do have it in product. It is sat there. We just can't do anything with it. So it's a bit annoying, but yeah, maybe that's something that will come our way. Do you think that's something that in the UK people would use, though, this whole revenue surround? I'm trying to show it on screen while I'm talking, but yeah, do you think people would actually use it? Would you use it, Johann?
I think it's a challenging one, because I know a lot of governing bodies have put a lot of rules in recently about how much openness there has to be about referral and commissions. So
yeah,
if you are referring a client to a pension advisor and you're going to get a commission, you have to declare that to the customer, the client, and you have to declare how much you're going to get. So there's a lot of governance on that. So does that then impact on this as well. So do I need to turn around to you and say, Aaron, I'm going to get you onto QuickBooks. Be aware, I'm going to get X amount a month for the privilege of doing that.
I
Or do
wonder
I
if,
go, I'll stick you on my wholesale billing and I'm passing
yeah,
it, and I get it cheaper, I'm passing it on to you at this price.
I wonder if there's something about software not having that model though, because if you think about Microsoft, I don't know if you've ever dealt with selling Microsoft licenses wholesale or anything, but they don't have that issue at all. You just basically you buy it in at one, and it's just a simple arrangement. You buy it in at low, and you try and sell it for high, sort of idea. So I don't know if that is the case for software and this kind of thing, but Microsoft got away with it for so long. Then fingers crossed, we're going to be okay with it. For some reason, it won't show me the links. I can't show anyone the actual bit that I'm talking about. But yeah, it is in the UK product. It's just not live at the moment. So cool, awesome. All right. So what else has been announced? Well, I say announced. What else has happened in the world of QuickBooks? Well, apparently the QuickBooks I'm a Landlord solution was supposed to have already been out to the wild. And the problem is I'm actually can't activate it anywhere. I can't actually find a license that has it in there to have this option of I'm a sole trader. I saw this now 2-3 months ago on a license and never been able to bring it back. So it is kind of sat there as a question mark at the moment. What I also found when I was actually going through trying to set this up and get this working is that whole splash page at the beginning of a new license seems to have just disappeared as well. You know how it used to ask you, what your business was and how many times you've been in business and all that lot. As a client, I wasn't getting that. I literally was sent straight in. I was asked a couple of questions, but they were related to what role I did. So was I an owner, an accountant, etc. And then straight into QuickBooks. I wasn't being given the opportunity to kind of tailor my experience at all. So I don't know if it's because that bit of it's kind of been a bit wonky at the moment and not working as intended is why I'm not getting the I'm a landlord or whatever you're going to see going forward, but it doesn't seem to be there. So apparently it's live. Apparently it's out there. We were told it was supposed to have gone live on last Tuesday, but yet to see it. What scares me is that we've had no kind of like input to it or anything. It's kind of all been kind of built in its own little ether. So I'm not 100% sure, other than a new chart of accounts, what to expect. We're hoping and fingers crossed there are more features than that's going to be there. But I think our feeling or our expectation is that it will just be a brand new chart of accounts that go for landlords and landlord specific. It is interesting as well because I am allowed to say that I have filed for MTD ITSA now. But one of my requirements is now an MTD ITSA beta user is I've got to submit my landlord and my rental property information as well. And currently I can't do that because the restrictions are at the moment is that A, I can only use one piece of software. So QuickBooks is the software I'll be choosing. And B, there is no other software out there that I can think of that can really submit my landlord requirement. So yeah, we'll see how that goes and how that comes to fruition, but interesting to see. I mean, we seem to talk about it every week and we don't really get any answers of it. So what's your guys' opinion on the landlord thing? Should we set our expectations a little bit, temper maybe of what this new feature is going to be? Johann, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a huge question about MTD ITSA in general at the moment, when it will go ahead, what it will look like, who's going to be involved. It's a whole heap of mess at the moment. So if I was QuickBooks, I wouldn't be rushing anything out at the moment. I'd be waiting for HMRC to actually make their mind up of what they're doing with it before I start releasing products that's maybe a half-baked product. It's not quite ready. If HMRC turn around and say, actually, landlords aren't going to be involved for another year on top of everyone else, then QuickBooks may as well hold back the landlord product, refine it and improve it, and then do it.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, doesn't it? And I think as well, when you think about it, like we've already talked about how good some of the other solutions out there, like Hammock, like what else can they really bring to the table, sort of thing. It's going to be a monumentous shift, isn't it, to actually bring a piece of software out that's going to be comparable to the likes of Hammock and stuff. So Ash, from your point of view, what are you kind of excited by it? Do you think it'll be something that will be something we can kind of get our teeth into, or do you think it's just going to be a bit of a constipation?
Landlord. I don't get overly excited about landlord.
Really?
No, I've got to be honest. But I agree with what Johann said. I think there is still probably 80% of the accountant community that are sitting at home with their fingers crossed and praying that MTD is still not going to happen. And is there a chance that HMRC might put it back? There is a chance that they might put books. So, I agree. There probably isn't a huge rush to maybe have the software ready. That said, we'd like to think that April 24 is only 15 months away. That HMRC would give us some sort of warning sooner rather than later as to what needs to be done. So it's a tricky one. I'm guessing if it hasn't come through, then HMRC will be leaning on the sort of tax return basis for landlords and until we're all know what's happening.
Yeah, and it's not just a quick, like when it comes to submission sort of thing, it's not going to be a quick and easy solution for them, is it? There's quite a lot of complications they've got to iron out that even HMRC don't know the answer to yet, which is half the battle that they're trying to go through. Paul does mention that isn't it in QBSE? Well, not yet, it's not. Although I don't know about anyone else, but I do find it very difficult to test QBSE anyway. So, trying to get a new license set up for that is a bit of a nightmare. In fact, true story at the moment, I sent out a invite for a client to become invited to QuickBooks SE, self-employed, and they got an invite that didn't have a link to connect to QuickBooks SE. So that's been an absolute nightmare to sort out. Various phone calls to and from. So hopefully that's something that gets sorted. So yeah, they get a nice little email saying, well done, you've got yourself your QuickBooks self-employed account and it's all ready to go. Just forgetting to put an actual link on there to actually activate it. So yes, fun times had by all. Okay. Well, the next new bit of news, though, is something that I know someone in this room was very much excited about, was actually asking for it to QuickBooks themselves. So, moaning about it has actually helped in this instance. So that's brought it to fruition. And that is the ability now, drum roll please, to run multiple, absolutely mess that up, run multiple company reports in your business. Now, unfortunately, Johann, it's not quite the solution you were wanting. This isn't the way that you wanted it. But we now have multi-company reporting and it is live and it is in QuickBooks Advanced and ready to go. The way they're doing it, or I suppose it's all they've really done is they've renamed the feature, the spreadsheet sync feature, and they've renamed it to multi-co reporting. And the idea is then you can get an Excel spreadsheet, you can then connect multiple companies on, and then you can do any sort of things you like for multi-company reporting. So we'll leave you on to stew a little bit. Ash, what do you think to this brand new feature?
Well, yeah, without me looking at it, it's quite difficult to comment because I think whenever spreadsheets are involved with syncing data, it's never usually that straightforward because there tends to be some requirements that it's mapped out in a particular way before everything links as it should. So and it's only available in QuickBooks Advanced. Again, there's a bit of a there's probably thousands of plus users that would probably like multi-company reporting, and would they want to go up to QuickBooks Advanced just to use the feature? Would it be worth it when they, do they use an app which they can already use to link 5 companies together, or do they use QuickBooks Advanced? What's the cost difference between using the two? So, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to see it working to really pass true comment on it.
Did I show it last month? I thought I did. I thought I showed
you
it.
did.
I did, yeah. So basically what I showed last month is the whole feature. It's just rebadged. So it literally is the option of you get Excel You click a little button to link Excel to QuickBooks, and then you can download reports into QuickBooks. That is the solution so far. In my mind, like the whole idea of it just being advanced, I think works for the main co. Like I would imagine if you've got a group structure, then the main co probably should be in advance. You'd expect that. But then some of the subsidiaries would probably not be anywhere near advanced in some circumstances. They could just be shell companies or whatever. They could have 4 transactions a month in some circumstances. So that's where I think you're right there, Ash, in terms of it just being locked behind the advanced one could be a little bit more tricky for certain group companies. But Johann, your answer's been prayed. Your prayers have been answered, should I say? They're ready. So you must be well excited about this.
I don't use spreadsheets.
So that's it then. The whole feature's completely useless to you.
Like, I'm sorry, but I use QuickBooks because it's a cloud-based solution. Exporting data out of a database and into a spreadsheet to manipulate it is not cloud-based. It's going back to the 1980s, and I refuse to take part in it. So that, as you say, we've got a number of accounting firms in our group. One's only doing a £50,000 turnover. Would I pay 70 quid a month to put that on a QuickBooks Advanced license? Or do I use SIF Analytics, where I can create a group of businesses and it amalgamates all the data for me into a reporting tool? This is not
exactly. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and that's exactly what you want. Is basically another mini tool within QuickBooks where you can sync your 5 companies and you can put your chartered accounts. If they're slightly different, you'll be able to sort of map them over. You only have to do it once. So yeah, it might take you an hour to do a bit of mapping, and then once it's done, it's done. And because if you are having to import and export Excel in any form, it's going to break eventually, I think. And then you think, well, if I've spent that much time doing it, I might as well just dumped it into Excel in the first place and just tidied the columns up like I did in the 80s.
I mean, in fairness, it's not built like this yet. And I know that there's been feedback of improvements to the solution. But in fairness, when it has finished, the whole idea would be that would be live data, isn't it? That those, whatever you set in Excel, if something changes in your QuickBooks license, then the Excel documents will update and reflect accordingly. They don't do that yet, which makes me question the fact that it's now a multi-company reporting solution, because you'd have thought that would be quite important, that if you update QuickBooks, surely this should report with it.
If SIF Analytics, which is a relatively new guy on the block, can go, right, which of these 0 QuickBooks and Sage licenses do you want to amalgamate into a group? So you're not only just looking at one software type, you're looking at multiple software types, and they go, right, you pull these 3 in and it spits out the reports. You can run cash flow forecasting, budgets, 4-way forecasting, whatever you want to do with it. If they can do it without being disrespectful to SIF Analytics, it can't be that difficult.
Yeah.
Like, come on, QuickBooks. You've just made a play into the medium business world. You're challenging Sage. One of the big things that happens when you go into those bigger companies is parent companies, group structures, etc. Using a spreadsheet is not the solution.
No, unfortunately not. I mean, it could be something that maybe NetTracker can look at.
It's not even my understanding is it only works with Excel.
Yes, it does.
Which is hideous for sharing. Compared to, like, if I have to have a spreadsheet, I do use a Google one, because co-working on that at the same time with my colleagues is a thing of beauty. I can see where their cursors are. I can see what boxes they're editing. So we're not, it's beautiful. Excel is nowhere near as smooth and nice as that.
Yeah. So, and we've had our group structure, 5 years or so now, whatever it's been. and I've been doing it on Google Sheets that whole time. Bit of third-party software, relatively cheap, does exactly the same functionality as we're talking about here, and can update automatically for me. I don't need to do anything. I just go in, see my dashboard, and my stakeholders, they can see exactly what's happening in the business, and it's all been done like that. And we've sold that solution to clients as well. Like, we've always made that as like a little fancy add-on, a dashboard we can create for you, sort of thing. So yeah, it's been there for a while, and yeah, we'll see what else can be brought in. But yeah, that's not the solution we were hoping for, is it?
No, I still have the same problem, and I will not be trying to resolve it with this solution.
So Ash, you're not going to be building a reporting solution for us with NetTracker?
No.
We can't get the exclusive on that.
There's far too many reporting apps about as it is. So we'll leave the reporting apps people to do the reports.
We tried for an exclusive, everyone. We tried. Paul says, another reason why QB Advanced is too high priced to be used for QuickBooks Playground for new features. Yeah. And in fairness, that's where a lot of the new features have appeared this year, hasn't it? We've seen quite a few new features, and there'll be more to come. Yeah. Will they ever trickle down to the rest of the solution? Well, we'll yet to find out. Some more positive news though on updates, but unfortunately over the pond. So we have some updates regarding, so in the US, some new seamless way to connect your sales channel. Now, I don't know this for certain because I wasn't able to go much further than this, because although I have US accounts, I don't have any way of connecting eBay or Amazon or Shopify or anything, because they have to be US. But from what I can tell, this is the one SaaS solution on steroids and actually built directly into the system. So absolute music to our ears. I mean, this sort of solution just can't come soon enough, can it? We don't know how it's gone down over America, but that's got to be something we would love to get over here, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of a easy to not really much of a talking point, is there? I think we're all in agreement on that one. Ash, Johann, anything to add?
No, sooner it crosses the pond into our land, the better.
Yeah, I think we've said it before.
I can imagine it'll save anyone that's any business that's has got their own Amazon retail account and selling through that. Because I've not looked at that for some time, but previously I worked with a business that had an Amazon account, and getting reports and data out of that was quite painful. So if you've got that connection right in your accounting software, that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, and as good as one SaaS is, and I'm highly obviously I'm a big advocate for the software, it is really sometimes daunting for clients, for people who don't quite understand it, to have to go to a third-party solution and having to connect it and maintain that connection. And as soon as you leave, as good as the app ecosystem is for certain clients out there, then you have to have a certain level of IT savviness about you to use that app ecosystem, don't you? So this will just mean that it's just available for everyone. They don't have to worry about connecting this, connecting that. It will just be built in the solution. And hopefully that means as well, we'll make sure we get actual, proper bits that come with it. Because again, as good as one SaaS is, there are bits where it doesn't do quite so well, and you have to have some janky workarounds for it and stuff like that. And that's to be expected, isn't it, when it's dealing with all this data and you're doing it on a third party. So cool. And then also a kind of stranger update that came through. They've kind of moved into the world of offering insurance based on how your business is doing and everything else, and going down that route. Now, I can't imagine this is something that will come through to UK anytime soon. I can imagine they would love to bring it over here, but I imagine this is very similar to the banking fiasco and QuickBooks Bank solution. There'll be too many kind of red tape and everything else to go through. But you can see what they're doing here. That the data's already in QuickBooks. It's already there. So it's giving you the opportunity to be able to get your data direct, or your insurance, should I say, directly in product. Would you want this over in the UK? Is this, or just leave it alone? What's your opinion? Ash, do you want to go first?
I really don't like this sort of thing, if I'm honest. I just think leave insurance to insurance companies, and leave software to don't go. Anyway, that's enough for me. But I don't like it. Anyway, I mean,
it'll be fair enough if they had an app in the App Store that they could connect and get this data, and maybe give you a more accurate thing if you've decided which insurance provider you're going with, and they could then connect the data, and they could then, a bit like the whole black box scenario in your car, isn't it? The idea should be that you're getting more accurate insurance because it's based on your use case. So you can kind of see that maybe that's a way, but I don't know. I'm not sure. What about you, Johann? What's your opinion on this one?
So I'm of a slightly different opinion to Ash here.
Ooh.
A, because I've just gone through today, literally, I've just been on the phone to my broker because it's that time of year where we renew all our insurances. So I've had to go through and give him all the turnover figures for each company. I've had to go through and give him the splits of what's what, the wage bills, etc., etc. If I could have just transmitted that information into his database with a click of a button, like I would a bank authorization or something, then yeah, I see value there.
Yeah.
But also I think this is it's a timely reminder to accountants out there that at a time when there's potentially challenges in economic times where we're struggling to get, we struggle to justify putting our prices up without really hurting a small business.
Yeah.
Because people are spending less, etc. Wages are going up, costs are going up. Do we want to be adding to that pile? There are other opportunities in the form of cross-selling. So we do free wills with a partner, which then leads to sales of insurance policies and stuff. We do fee-free mortgages with a partner because that helps my client get a mortgage without the fee of the mortgage broker. But the bank still pays that mortgage broker their fee, and we get a cut of that as an extra income. So we're adding value to our services, but also getting commissions from it, which means we're under less pressure to put our prices up, but we're still able to increase wages and cover off cost increases and stuff. So yeah, for me, I kind of like it. It's in line with what we're looking at and are doing with cross-selling opportunities for ourselves. And having sat there for 20 minutes on the phone going through each business's financials and statistics to get a new insurance quote put together for the year, yeah, it would have saved me 20 minutes and I'd have quite liked that.
Yeah. I suppose it's kind of showing what the future of, especially in the US, of what their product is going to be, isn't it? It's a one-stop shop for small businesses or businesses in general to have the opportunity just to run everything through that. They want to, with MailChimp as an example, they want to be able to create your website through QuickBooks in the end. They want to have all of that, don't they? They want to have every aspect of it. You get a QuickBooks license and you're off to the races. You are creating your whole business from start to finish. And, I can definitely see a huge benefit in that aspect of it. I'm just not 100% sure that in the UK will have the same appetite. I don't know. Maybe it's just...
I don't know. So I've got Vitality health insurance. So I know if I can get between 5,000 and 7,000 and 9,000 steps every day, 5 days a week, I can go and get myself a free coffee from Cafe Nero. But it also helps to if I get so many points over the year, it knocks off like 1% off my premium next year. Now, I grant you, my premium probably goes up 5% because I'm a year older than I was the year before. But it helps. Like Vitality offer up to 25% of your car insurance if you track your driving through their app on your phone.
Mm.
And when I was speaking to my broker, they wanted to know, how much is your biggest client worth in each business? Is that likely to change? Because if it is, we need to increase your thresholds of protection. So actually, do you want to be worried every time you take on a new client? Oh, is that now my top performing client? I need to ring my insurance broker to make sure I'm covered still. If that information was transmitted from QuickBooks to your insurance broker to keep your policy relevant, then yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you raised some pretty good points there, Johann. I guess there's a couple of things, if it's your accounts are probably going to be nice and tip top, so it's getting accurate data.
Well, I don't know why I didn't.
Which hopefully other people that it might not be getting accurate data. And the other thing, I guess, people obviously clicked certain boxes to allow data sharing, but who would be the, so behind it, that's obviously the screen, but behind that, is it like Go Compare? Is there like 1,000 insurance companies behind that? And is your financial data being shared with 1,000 other insurance companies? And do you really want that? I suppose that's another thing to sort of, consider, is how much of your financial stuff is being shared all over the place. That's a bit of a worry.
Yeah, I can see that aspect of it, because we are very, more than ever, aren't we? We're very conscious of where our data is going, which we should be. So yeah, you can kind of see that. But I suppose at the end of the day, QuickBooks already have that data, don't they? So it's not QuickBooks that are going to gain from it, is it? It's going to be, like you said, those other insurance companies. So awesome. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see if there's anything else that gets added. It does make me somewhat jealous of what QuickBooks over in the US get that we don't. Some of their features and everything else, especially that seamless connect your sales channel thing, looks absolutely brilliant. So speaking of features, then let's bring back a favorite of ours. So an annual tradition we have on the show, and we get to talk about. So this was last year's, where we got to talk about what features was brought into the year and how that list looked, and we got to rank them. So just a bit of a recap of what we had last year. We had some working papers, category history, MailChimp. All is a great investment or a great feature. Not sure about MailChimp now. I think they didn't really do much with it, so maybe we overhyped that one there last year, Ash. So this is why we've got Johann here to keep us level-headed this time round. We thought that new reconciliation screen, new bank input, and cash flow update was a bit of a mare update. No game changers though that year. The year before we had a couple of game changers. And we thought import styles being said goodbye and the new list view were a bit poor. And the QuickBooks business account wasn't quite available yet. Well, it's not quite available now either. So we'll move on from that one. We thought with this one would be pretty good to look at. I'll show you the proper link in a minute. But when I was actually getting the link for this year's up and running, I thought Sage is an absolute blinder, because they decided to sponsor our this year. So thank you, Sage, for sponsoring our annual tier list for 2022. Great to see that you're there. So we're glad to see that. I'm sure that's because we sent over that merch to Chris and everything, wasn't it? I think that's why he liked it. So let's go straight into it then. So here are the ones we've got. We've got work papers review. So the fact that work papers now have a brand new review section. Not only do you have the opportunity to put a little tick box in to say you've reviewed it, but now you can have another person review it as well. So the idea is, if you've got a junior doing it, they could maybe review the first section, and then you as or someone else as more senior could then review to say that the junior did the right job. That sort of idea. Got that new custom review. Because I was really struggling for features this year, so I thought the new custom review might be a good one to put in there. We've got advance itself, and we've already had Paul had a nice little comment on that one, so we'll talk about that when we get there. Landlords, is it there or is it not? Have I got the wrong year? Maybe. The fact we can unfile VAT returns, so I'm a big believer in that one, but we'll talk about when we get there. The fact we can now test our rule. The new left-hand navigation that had everyone talking when it was released. Default expense category, so the idea then that you can see what that expense category was when you're on the bank screen. You can see what it was history wise. Was that a good feature or not? The new transfer option, team certification, and merge contacts as a brand new way of doing it. And I just thought I'd put two more on. So VAT audit report now shows exceptions. Is it a feature? Is it not? But we put it in there. And then the new burger button, because obviously that's had a new lease of life. So I thought I'd put it in there.
Yeah.
So there are now I've had to add an extra feature, so an extra line. So we've got game changer, great, Mayor and Paul, like we had last time, but then the last one was not yet available, and now is it even a feature? Because I was kind of scraping the barrel this year, so I thought we'd add a new functionality to it. So who wants to go first with work papers review? Then who wants to talk about it and put it into its option then while I get this nice and big on screen? Work papers review, where would people put that in the list that we have there?
For me, it's a good advancement.
What was that, sorry?
So for me, it's good. Yeah, it enhances our process. I wouldn't say it's game changer. If QuickBooks notified the reviewer that the previous person had done the work, so like Dex Precision, you can set someone that does the work, someone to review it, and even someone to review it after that if you wanted to. And each time someone completes I've done the work or I've done the review, the next person up the chain gets a notification via email.
Yeah.
If they'd done that, for me, that would have been a game changer. But it's enhanced our process in a visible way, in that I would always go in and check on someone's work and do a review of it, but I had no way of other than saying, yeah, that's fine or something. Now I've got a visible tick. I've been in and done it.
Yeah, for the audit trail.
So, yeah, I was very happy with that.
Yeah. Ash, what I mean, have you used work papers? I suppose that's the first.
I've got to be honest. I think we spoke about this a little while ago, and because I'm not really an accountant, really in practice that anymore, I wouldn't really use it. And I had sort of developed my own sort of systems, if you like, anyway, sort of preparing accounts ready for the end of the year that I still probably wouldn't use it. So it would probably, for me, straddle between the great and the, if I spent a bit of time looking at it, I might sort of gain something out of it. But yeah, I'm happy to leave it with the great if Johann likes it. But it's difficult for me because I've not really used it.
Yeah.
So between you two, really. So however you feel, Aaron, you two should make the decision on that one.
Well, this time last year, I wanted work papers to be a game changer. That was one of my only game changers I was trying to fight for. But we did agree that it should be a great. And I think that the feature's exactly done what it's needed to do. It's what we needed. It's free of charge. And the fact that they've now enhanced it that tiny bit. But I think John's right, like that there are still big improvements that can be made to it. And I think the more we keep battering the door down, the better it's going to be. That the problem which we always have with these sort of solutions are that it's only ever going to get updated if people actually use it. So they'll have their heat map. They're going to know what the uptake is of work papers at this point in time. And I think the thing we need to do as users of QuickBooks is keep using the software even if it's not quite there yet, because that's the only way we're going to get the improvements and the enhancements that we want. So yeah, I'm happy to leave it as a great feature. And I think it is, it's good to see some enhancements, but let's hopefully this time next year, let's see some more enhancements there as we go forward. All right. What about the new customer review? Ash, do you want to go first on this one? Because
I think that's probably
big update, isn't it?
In the meh. I wouldn't get overexcited about it.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of needed a clean up, didn't it? The whole view itself. You can understand why it's happened. It's more compact. There was that one new feature though, if you think about it. On the supplier view, you get the opportunity to set your default category. Does that change your opinion at all?
Well, that's a different
Goes down.
So no, it doesn't.
Doesn't change your opinion. No, it's still a mare. Johann, what's your opinion on the matter?
It doesn't even register on my radar of excitement.
Yeah.
So do we go down here then?
That could be a bit harsh, but
okay.
Yeah, what upsets me is they've built it based on someone's feedback. And why are they listening to that clown's feedback over more important feedback like ours? How did that get through the vetting process compared to what we ask for, which numerous people tell us they'd also like, and they still don't do?
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. And for me, when it first got announced, I thought, there must be some bigger improvement coming of something else that we just can't see yet. There's something, this is that changing of they're changing a few foundations here and there so that we can have this brand new feature that's going to come and blow our minds. No, it didn't happen, and I don't foresee anything changing that thing. I think it is just let's make it compact. Let's make it a bit unified, I suppose. I suppose the what you call it, the rule view as well. And I think that's the idea, wasn't it, to make it all look a little bit more unified. So it's a shame, but yeah, I mean, I'll leave it with Mayor if you want me to, but yeah, I was considering, is it even a feature, to be honest? But yeah, we'll keep it there for now. We've got plenty more to talk about. QuickBooks Advance. Who wants to go first on that one?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, I've not used it. I'm not needed to use it, but I've seen little bits of it. I'd probably have it straddling between great and meh, in between the two.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, in my mind, how advanced is it? Really? I don't know.
Johann?
This had the potential to be a game changer. Like, if they brought across from America everything that was going on in Americans one, would have been up there, game changer, best product release they've had in years. But they didn't. They seem to think the answer is to keep exporting everything into spreadsheets, which it's not even a feature. It's just disappointment. Advanced, it's got I think that's the bit that upsets me. I think that's what makes me score it so lowly, is that it has the potential, and I'm just not seeing them exercise that potential.
Agreed.
What do you think,
would
Aaron?
you post it? You see, you're right. I mean, it should have been a game changer. This should have been everything we're talking about in this. We shouldn't even be worried about the rest of these ones down here. We should have just put all the advanced features in there and been like, yeah, here we go. Is this the game changer? Is that the game changer? We've done enough push of it. In fact, we were the first to talk about it. We did a special, QuickBooks video on, QuickBooks Live, special on Advance and what it can do. And like you said, there are certain bits on there. The fact that we got the roles finally is a game changer. That will warrant it. But is that enough? Like, can you justify the price hike just for that one to call it a game changer and everything else? So yeah, I think we've got to be fair on it. It is great. There is some really good bits out there that's going to help clients along, and there is some bits on there that we could never do before. And we've got feature
more
parity
potential than any other feature that we've had.
Yeah. And it gives us feature parity to things like zero. So we're not holding back now. We don't have to tell clients, well, you should be on zero, because that's the only way you can do approvals. Now, approvals are a little bit broken at the moment, granted. But again, the feature's there now, and we can at least push that and we can put it forward with it. So yeah, I would say it's better than the work papers review. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not sure it is that game changer it should have been, and that's a shame. I think that's a massive shame. So yeah, I think we're all agreed. I mean, if Ash says meh, I was trying to push it to game changer, and you think it was great. I think we leave it as great, don't we? I think that's fair place to put it. Landlords. Well, yeah, it's not even available, so we'll move on. Unfiling your VAT returns. Ash, do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, I think it is a great little feature. I've not had to use it, but I can definitely see the purposes or the purpose of needing to use it as an accountant.
Yeah.
So it's a great little feature if you need to tidy something up or correct a mess that someone's made, for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Johann, what's your point?
It's not a feature for me.
It's not a feature.
No, we've never used it. We've never had to use it. We just get the VAT return right. I mean, it's a fundamental building block of an accounting firm. I mean, yeah, and you can't even use it on MTD VAT returns, can you?
No, you can't.
Right. So, considering everyone's been filing MTD in theory by law since April, didn't it get released after the fact? Like after we could file in the old system. So,
okay.
Yeah, no. If they released that, 4 years ago, game changer, fantastic.
Game changer 4 years ago, okay.
Because if I made an error, I could unfile adjust it, refile. Fantastic.
Okay.
Considering we all are now filing MTD compliant VAT returns, in theory, as of April this year, it's too late to the game.
I fear you may have missed what the purpose of this feature is, because we've always been able to unfile VAT returns. We just had to phone them up, didn't we, and say, look, can you unfile it, please? And then they would be able to do it their end. So for me, this isn't about returns have gone wrong or not correct. This is if you're migrating from another piece of software. Maybe you were foolishly on Xero before and you've seen the line, you come over to QuickBooks. Now, at that point, you're going to have to try and restate those VAT periods as best you can, so you can use wonderful features like the VAT exception reports and stuff. And that's where I feel like the unfiled reports is designed to be, so that you can get those catch-up periods just right. So maybe you've put it all together to begin with and then realize that, you know, you've missed this, or that's not quite the report that was returned, you know, that was submitted, or whatever it's going to be. You can unfile and get it in. Or if you're just doing MTD for the first time, having to do that jiggery pokery of trying to make sure that you got the right period in, which is frustrating anyway, because, you know, every other piece of software will just tell you what your period is going to be. With QuickBooks, we have to get that right period first time round. So we need to file a fake return to do the last period so that our new period can then move it forward. That's where I find unfile VAT returns to be, you know, the opportunity to be there. It's a, you know, it's a necessary evil for us to be able to actually make sure we can still file VAT returns in the first place. That's what I think this feature is for. I don't believe it's because people are making mistakes all the time, but, you know, I could be wrong on that one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's basically to aid setup, and you probably shouldn't need it after that.
Yeah.
Well, you can't really use it after that if you're on MTD.
Because like Johann said, as soon as you go MTD, can't use it. Yeah. Which you shouldn't be able to. Like, there's be absolutely ridiculous if you could just unfile an MTD VAT return, in my opinion. I think it should be a, you know, you just file your next one and you correct anything, or you have to go down the lines of doing the, you know, the disclosure if you've made a mistake elsewhere outside of MTD. So with that, then, are we not saying it's a game changer? Then we're all agreeing it's definitely not a game changer. Yeah.
I'll leave you and Ash to vote on this one.
No, it's not a game. It's not a game changer.
Not a game changer. Oh
no,
my!
It's not a game changer for sure.
I just want
I lived about 7 years without it, so I could have lived without it.
Well, we could do it. Couldn't we? We could phone them up and do it that way. But yeah, no one had time for that. So
we never laid there wishing there was an unfile button.
Exactly.
I never lost sleep over it.
So we're saying it's a mare, or we're saying it's great.
It's great, or you could straddle the two. But you know, I'm easy, so I've never ever had to use it. I know it's there, and I can perceive could potentially be a great help, but I've just not needed to use it.
Okay, we'll put it as a low grade then. So
do we think it was a feature request from the support team because they got fed up of people calling?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
It never came from an accountant or a business owner. It's just come straight from the support team.
Yeah.
6,000 calls a day that they don't have to answer now. People having to do the thing.
Yeah, but like you say, Johann, they were logging those calls in 2016.
Yeah.
It took 5 years for it to actually get into the product.
And now they don't need it.
Yeah.
All right. What about the test rule feature? So just so people who are unaware of what this one is, if you go to create a rule now, you get a little button that says test rule, and it's going to tell you if that rule or how many times that rule is going to be active. Great feature.
Great. I like that.
Yeah. Well, let's leave it for great for now, and we can decide the order in a minute. What about you, Johann? Great game changer, Mayor?
I think if it had come along before the reclassify tool was released.
Okay, so, interesting.
So at the moment, if you get a rule, if you didn't have this test feature and you put a rule in and it actually did something wrong, reclassify makes that a lot easier to clean up now.
Remember, clients don't have reclassify though.
That's a client problem. I'm thinking from an accounting firm point of view. But for my team to now be able to sit there and test the rules and make sure it's going to work, yeah, it's a great little feature. I think it would have been a game changer before the reclassify tool came in, where if you got it wrong, it was bloody painful. But I think, yeah, for clients, it's a game changer. For us, it's a great little tool.
Okay. All right. Okay. So at least we're up in the higher parts of it. For me, I when I first saw this feature, I thought it was an absolute game changer. Like the idea that we could test our rule before we put it live, because ultimately the only way we've ever been able to teach doing rules is a bit of trial and error. Like you would put the rule in and hope for the best, and if it doesn't work, go back and fix it, sort of idea, wasn't it? At least now we have that reassurance that something's right. My only slight negativity over this is that it's only looking at data that's there. It's not looking at data that's already done or anything like that. Like if we're going to properly test this rule, let's make sure that it is there, because sometimes I can create the best rule in the world. It would be an absolute game changer and going to solve biggest problems there have ever been. And if that transaction's not ready to be looked at in QuickBooks, then that test rule button is just absolutely useless. So I think that's the only thing I would say to it. I think it needed a little bit more massaging, as to what to really get the full thing out of it. So I think it's definitely a great feature. Unfortunately, didn't quite hit the game changer. What we're saying, are we saying it's before? Well, you lot are definitely going to say it's before and file VAT returns, and no one likes that one. What about work papers review, before or after it?
I think it's got a greater impact than work papers review. When we look at the population of QuickBooks users that are using each feature, I'd say a larger majority will benefit from the rule test than the work paper review.
So would you put it in front of advance as well?
Ooh.
We'll come back to you on that one. Ash?
Yeah, I'd probably put it at the front.
Really? Okay, so yours is straight there. Are you going to agree with that?
Put it in front of advanced.
Wow. Okay. I'm overruled on that one.
Someone at QuickBooks is pulling their hair out saying, how much did we spend on advanced?
And an intern made the test rule. I'm joking. It wasn't an intern. It was someone very to spend a lot of time building that feature. What about the new left-hand navigation that came with such great rat-a-tats, and everyone was so excited and not confused in any way whatsoever when it first launched? Ash, what's your opinion on this one? Whereabouts we sticking this bad boy?
That's a mare from me.
It's a mare. Okay. Yeah. So give justification why it's a mare. Go for it.
Well, to be perfectly honest, from a teaching point of view, it can be confusing.
Yep.
QuickBooks is supposed to be pretty easy to use anyway. Do you really need to complicate it by creating additional favorites and different menus? You should have fairly simple menus to navigate around what's already there. I don't think you necessarily need it. It's, I don't think it was really required.
Yep. Johann?
I like it. I think it improves the user interface no end. I think it's a lot more modern looking, a lot cleaner. Yeah, I really like it. I felt I think it makes the previous one look a bit cartoony.
Okay.
A bit unprofessional, shall we say. So for me, it's a great improvement. Now, where they've hidden some of the menus, yes, I agree that could be reviewed. But from a design aesthetic, I think it's more pleasing. I like the fact we can have our favorites there. I think a bit more work to be done to it, which would allow us to go in and set those favorites for our clients. So they've got their one-click things that we've set up for them. And it would almost put it into the game changer category if they had that for me. But yeah, I'm up there as a great step forward.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I could argue it as a game changer because there are bits in there like the ability to customize your own that is absolutely brilliant. I think some of the wording and terminology is actually better. But also it can be a pull for me because the amount of times that I'm on a call with a client who's now using the new solution and I look like a complete idiot because I don't even know where the banking screen is and I have to relearn where things are. that can be frustrating. But I think that's just a me problem, isn't it? Or an us problem as accountants. Like we've got to embrace the change and understand why it's been put in there. So it is frustrating.
Old grumpy men that can't accept change.
Exactly.
Build new routines and habits. That's the problem.
Exactly right. Yeah. But I must admit, when it first came out, there was a lot of confusion around it in terms of, what does this mean? Where's my feature gone? And all that sort of stuff. And the fact that we can change it back and forth as we need to, that kind of alleviates that problem anyway, doesn't it? But I think it could have been a game changer if we could have had more say in terms of what a client experience is going to be. Because what I saw this as at first was, okay, this is the way for certain clients where I could just take away everything they don't need. Like let them just go in, almost make them like a little to-do list for me. So they could have a to-do list of these are the things I just need you to go in once a week, clear this, and this, and you forget the rest, I'll do the rest for you. That would have made it a game changer in my opinion. Yeah. I don't think it got to that point. I think that, it's not quite there. Is it great or is it meh? I mean, actually you said meh, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, you could put it. I just personally, I just don't see too much of a benefit from it. But if you two are happy for it to be slightly higher up, then it can be a great feature.
It doesn't beat work paper review, though, does it? No, not in its current format. If it did what you and I have said of lets us go in and customizes that menu so our clients can't, they can see what they need to see, then yeah, great. It would have been up there. But as it is, I think it's a very positive step forward, though.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. It does look better visually. It does look a lot better and a lot smarter. But like you said, Johann, it doesn't really work as you'd like it to.
Okay, I'm happy with that. I think it sits nicely there. What about the default expense category then? So for anyone who doesn't know, this is the idea that when you go on your bank screen, as long as you're showing the right supplier, then it's going to tell you what expense category was used in the future. They're going to give you options to go for what was frequently used or what was last used, and then you can set that as the default going forward and everything else. So should this just have been there since day one, or is this even a feature? What's everyone saying on this one?
I think it's a feature, and it's one I keep telling my staff to bloody use.
Okay.
Because
positive.
They keep putting stuff in random places. It's like, it tells you where it's been. Get on with it. So yeah, when you're training interns or new bookkeeping staff, or you've passed a client onto a new person, you can easily sit there for hours scrolling out loads and loads of notes to hand over that client.
Yep.
This saves a lot of time.
Agreed.
Because it gives them that history. And I really like that. So for me, it's a really good feature.
Okay. So you'd go great, that high, or game changer?
Not game changer.
Okay, great. Okay. Ash, go for it.
Yeah, I think that's got to be a great little tool. I'm not really needed to use it, but definitely if I was setting somebody up and using a regular supplier, pop it in there and then it should just help you moving forward, definitely, for sure.
Awesome. I thought this was one of three that could have potentially become a game changer for us. But no, I'm happy. If everyone else says great, then I'll go with the majority on that one. I can't praise this enough. I think you're right. Like training new staff, training new people, passing things on, like as just said, absolutely brilliant. And even for me, like you come back to a client 12 months down the line or something, and you have a look at it, and it's like, or you're making an adjustment on their behalf, and you can see what they've been doing with that transaction. Just makes it easier, doesn't it? It's just so much more simplified if we do it that way. I know you're going to say it's better than VAT returns. I assume better than left hand and maybe better than work papers, but does it go better than advance? What's everyone's opinion?
Yeah, I think about there.
Yeah, I think
no one can vote for it to go further. Cool. All right, come on. Now we're into the juicy stuff. New transfer options. So the idea here is that if you've got a transfer from one bank account to another, then instead of having that whole rigmarole of being able to post it and then having to match it and then hope that the client matches it and doesn't make a mistake and causes a bank reconciliation error, now when you match one, it should match both for you and do both at the same time. What we're saying, Ash, go first. Whereabouts you want to put this one?
No, I'd like to say game changer, but there are still occasions where it doesn't actually change the game. So I think that an example being, if you've got two bank accounts and one of them has been been disconnected for some reason, you could create the transfer, and it might not. I'm I could be wrong, but I'm sure this has happened quite recently, where something's been entered as a transfer. A week later, that bank's not connected. I've connected it, and now they've gone and put something on, and they've created a duplication. So I think it's great, but there are little times where it still doesn't quite work.
Yeah, Johann?
I think I'd like to say it's a game changer, but the thing that holds me back is the fact that it should have always been there.
Yeah, true.
It should, like, if we can match an invoice, we can match an expense, we can match a bill, we should have always been able to match a transfer. So for me, it's just great.
It's like how you can match your VAT return payments, yeah? Like the same. Oh, no, wait, sorry, that's not a feature at the moment, yeah. And more on that one day. Yeah, you're right. It's, you know what? I would have just absolutely have argued to the nth degree this was a game changer with you, and I'd have made sure that it'd be a game changer if it was still not that little bit buggy. Like Ash said there, the idea that sometimes it just doesn't work out right. I've had times when you go into a client and it just completely takes over your banking screen. You can't do anything else until you've agreed these transfers that may or may not be right. And sometimes they're not even correct bank transfers, they're just incorrect data. So yeah, it's not quite, it's a fantastic solution. But like you said, if it was always there since day one, we would have had those updates by now. We would have improved things. We'd have moved these on. So whereabouts we stick in this? It's definitely going to be before work papers review. Is it before default expense category? Just say yeah or nay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about advance? It's not looking likely, is it? Okay. Okay. Oh, and we've got also a fourth member of the team to just decide. So, Charlie, all I want you to do at this point is just go through and just see if there's anything out there that you think we've done wrong so far. You can be our adjudicator on this one. So, team certification, we're a bit behind on timing wise. So, team certification. So, the idea here is, as a QuickBooks Online accountant user, you can have a look and see how many of your team members have actually gone and done their QuickBooks Online core certification, advanced certification. So what we're saying this is a game changer, great mare. Johann, do you want to go first on this one?
Considering how long I was nagging for it, I'm going to say game changer. Right. Because I want to make sure my team are up to date with their training and certification at all times. And I can do that now without having to ring my account manager to list off who is and isn't certified and what in. Like, this enables us to ensure the training and quality is there of our team. I agree.
Ash?
Yeah, I mean, it makes no odds to me, so I'll leave that to you too. So, that particular one. I'm a team of one, so have I done my certification? Yes, I have. I'm okay.
You always knew where you had because you could see yours.
Yeah.
Have you not got the swag to prove it, Ash? Oh no, you weren't the first 100.
I think I left it to 2 days before the timer ran out.
But what about from a kind of almost selfish point of view, Ash? If we stick our trainer hats on, doesn't this mean more people get trained? Isn't that a good thing? Because more people will be getting the backsides kicked if they're not got that training. So you'd have thought more people doing the certification.
Yeah, so it's a good thing. Yeah.
So great game changer. What we're saying?
I'll leave it with game changer. I'll go with Johann.
Game changer. And Charlie, nice to see you. And thank you for coming. What would you say for team certification? Game changer, great or meh?
Oh, for me, I would definitely not say game changer. Somewhere between great and meh.
Great and meh for you. Okay. Any justifications for that one? Why it wouldn't make game changer?
I mean, it's a game changer to me is something, you makes you say, wow, this is so much better than the competition. I mean, I'm happy for it to go in great. Game changer seems a little bit excessive for something like that.
Okay, no worries.
It's,
Well,
I'd look
I
into
say
features. You get features again. I mean, I would use a product because the features are so amazing. Not this isn't a feature. It's very useful, but it's
Yeah, I completely understand that one. I am going to put it as game changer though, because it's a training feature, isn't it? So we've got 2 trainers on the call, so that's where I'm going to put it there, and we can push through. What about merging contacts though? Now the brand new feature. So just so everyone's aware, beforehand to merge contacts, you had to go and overwrite the name of the person you wanted to overwrite and then change it to the new name. So now we have the chance to go in and use the merge contact button. What's everyone's feature on this one? Who wants to go first on this one? Oh, I've dropped it already in there.
Every time I go to use this, it's not working.
Oh, really? That's controversial. Go for it.
The feature's not available at the moment, is the message I get.
Really?
As a concept, though, I love it.
Okay. And where would you stick it? Great, Mayor? Game changer?
It's not a game changer. Great. But at the end of great, I wouldn't say it outranks anything else on there.
Fair play. Ash?
Well, for me, I suppose all it is a shortcut to what I could do already. Because I knew how to merge things, because I was trained, if I change the name, it will merge. So to me, it's a meh, because the feature was there. We've just basically created a shortcut to do it. So
I would argue a shortcut that actually makes people know it's there, because not a lot of people knew it was there, in fairness. But yeah, you're right. It's yeah. I can see why you put it as meh. Charlie, go for it.
Well, I'd heard about this, but I've not seen it in action.
Okay.
How does when you click the button and it then says who would you like to merge it with?
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yeah, exactly. And it comes up with a screen on it as well.
I mean,
no,
hello?
We can just about hear you.
Can you hear?
Go for it.
Me?
No. All right, Charlie. We'll come back to you on that one in a moment.
Oh, all right. I mean, I would. I mean, it's not a huge change on just changing the name, so I go with Ash. A meh.
Okay.
Okay. I've got very.
Okay, we got a mare out of that one. I think we'll leave it a mare, to be honest, because you're right. It should never have been a feature we even talk about on here, should it? It should always have just been the fact that it was simple enough to do that. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely we needed it, but yeah, I think it's better than the new customer view, in my opinion. Everyone agree on that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. And then we've got 2 more. VAT audit report shows exceptions.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm sort of still on the sort of meh
Mayor for
line
that.
for that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Right. Go on. Justification for mayor.
I think, to be honest, haven't really had to use that VAT audit report. So, because before, isn't it because before when you did the VAT audit report, it didn't include the exceptions. It just included what was in that period and not
It was
what
incorrect, basically.
specifically filed. So actually, no, thinking about it, I suppose that's a great thing that it should have. So that should be great.
Charlie, do you want to go on your opinion on this one?
I'll go great. Still not as good as the 0 version of VAT, but it's great. It's
okay. Fair play.
On the reporting,
Johann.
the Zero's VAT reporting always was excellent.
Brilliant. Nice one. Johann, you go first. Go next.
Yeah. It shouldn't have been a feature that we needed to have developed. It should have just been there. But yeah, it's either meh or it's the very last thing on great.
Yeah, the very last great. I agree.
Yeah, I am going for I think it is I think it's great. I was potentially going to say game changer just because finally the audit report is right. I think that's we can actually use that.
We shouldn't be encouraging them and supporting them for doing what should have been there in the first place.
Very true, actually. Yeah, good point. So yeah, that's why it shouldn't be a game changer. You're saying it's better than unfiled VAT returns. Sorry, worse than unfiled VAT returns, though, if we're leaving it at the bottom of great, which is fine. I'm happy to agree with that. So we're saying that that feature that took all that time is better than unfiling VAT returns, and that's what the consensus says. All right, now for the big one. All right, so that's that one talked about. No, generally, new burger button. It's not even a feature, is it? Really, it's just a bit of a.
No, it's just
a bit of fun.
Surely, for the passion you've put behind it, Aaron, that makes it a game changer.
I thought it was a game changer. Finally, people can see what the burger button can do, but it is there. So I think that is our definitive list. And Charlie, you're a adjudicator on this. You can shout up if anything's wrong. But what we're saying is the game changer of 2022 was the team certification. We think that from a great functionality, we've got test rules, advanced QuickBooks itself, new transfer option, default expense category, work papers review, new left-hand navigation, unfiled VAT returns, and finally VAT audit reports with exceptions. We think that Mayor was merge contacts and new customer reviews. They were kind of just extra features just added in there. Landlords didn't come available, so we couldn't bring that on. And the new burger button was just a bit of a laugh to put it in there. Anything on there, Charlie, you think should be outright moved? Have we got completely wrong, or do you think you're happy with that list?
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
That means
so
he
happy
agrees
he's walked out.
perfectly with the list. That is great to hear. Just a bit of interaction from people. Ryan, hi Ryan, hope you're having a good time. Should have already had it. He was talking about there the VAT audit report shows exceptions, and you're right. That's why I was not allowed to put it as a game changer. I'm a bit worried because Michael O'Sullivan's rang me during this. So while we're talking about team certification, so maybe I said something I shouldn't have done, or maybe it should never have been a game changer. With that, though, we are over time, so I do apologize for that one. But hopefully, you guys have found that one good. I think we've got a good list there. I think we've talked about it enough. I think a step up from 2021, in my opinion. We've got at least one game changer there. Not quite as strong as 2020, but maybe 2023 is going to be our year going forward. Any final remarks on this before we close out, people?
I think it's interesting that there's so many great things there. When we know what big things they're working on in the pipeline, like what's potentially going to come out next year, MTD ITSA, books to tax or pro tax, whatever we're calling it, etc. All that stuff coming out, that's major developments. So for that to them to also to deliver these bits on top, I think fair play to them.
Yeah, completely agree. I think 2023 should be a biggie. Ash, any final remarks on that?
Yeah, no, I agree with Johann, really. I mean, we should see at the end of 2023, there should be some game changers in there. Because, if, I've still got to say if, really, if the ITSA does definitely go ahead, then, we'll only be, 4 months away from April 24.
Definitely, 100%. And, I think we'll still be going, don't you worry. But when we are, I think there's going to be a great little list to go through. Charlie, anything you think on there that we've got completely wrong as being the adjudicator for it? Excellent. I'm glad. That is fantastic. It's always good to be reminded you do it. And my final thing is, again, thank you to if they'll come through. Thank you to Sage for sponsoring that segment of our what do you call it? Thank you for promoting that for us. So the QuickBooks official list of features for 2022 brought to you by Sage. Wonderful. All right. Okay. So with that, then that is it for today. Again, sorry for going over time.
Yeah, sorry I fell off my Wi-Fi. It's a bit lousy where I am.
Brilliant. It's not much better where you are now either.
I would have. Oh, I'm losing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's no better for you there, Charlie. I mute you. So
I'm going again.
Unfortunately, Charlie, I'm going to have to kick you from that one. Sorry about that. But really appreciate you joining us, Charlie. And hopefully I'll do your outro for you. It's about pushing you towards the Facebook group. So make sure you get yourself over to that Facebook group. Got lots of people on there. and we'll make sure that we get him back on next week to talk about it properly. Johann, Ash, do you want to give a quick outro before we get going?
No, just say, hope everyone has a great Christmas and an even better 2023. So take care.
Nice one. Johann?
Yeah, just make sure everyone joins us for Ask the Accountant. We've still got a few more weeks before Christmas. We're not breaking up just yet for that. Watch out for Ask the Accountant, We Have Cool Friends, our special episode. Is that going out on Friday, Aaron?
We hope so, yeah. We think it's going to be there.
Cool. That's exciting. We're looking forward to that one. It actually looks like we've done it professionally this time, which makes a nice change. Rather than just two of us going live. But yeah, no, for all our QuickBooks Labs listeners, thank you for tuning in all year. Have a wonderful Christmas, and we'll see you in 2023.
I just want to say a big thank you for our team. So, Johann, Ash, Charlie, thank you very much for coming with us each and every month. I personally think this podcast has gone from strength to strength now. So, a big thank you to all three of you for putting your time in and talking us through the changes that have happened with QuickBooks Online. I have a special outro for today. So I'm going to be putting a bit of a homage to QuickBooks. I thought, being the final episode of the year, we'll put that on. So we're not going to have our normal outro. We're going to have a bit of a different one, but then we'll see you in the new year. So thank you, everyone. Been a blast, and we're looking forward to 2023. We've got some great things coming in the world of QuickBooks, and we've got some potential surprises in the world of QuickBooks Labs as well. So we will see you in the new year. Thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers, Aaron.
Thank you.
Bye.
As an accountant, I've got something to say. I'd like to introduce you to a whole new way to help small business clients. It's easy as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. QuickBooks Online. Accounting you can customize. Just sit back and relax. It works with over 300 apps. It can sync up with PayPal or Shopify. And with Fathom you can analyze. With Fundbox you'll get paid instantly, while Stitch Labs tracks your inventory. QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online. Can save money and time.